Okay? First of all, I just want to say thank you, God. Thank you, God, I didn't have to live my life as humiliating as these people live. I've been super validated, and I've seen people turn into like get on the spectrum, on the level of spectrum, meaning that they have diminished their intellect for the purpose of gaslighting me. I could have lived life like them. I could have chosen the life, or could have the option where I had to make myself mentally retarded for somebody to accept these things. The horrible thing that I'm going to go through is never going to change what's going to happen to them. There's time of their life that they will never get back, and they spend their time, regardless of how much money they got out of it, that they can never get the money back to get the time they spent being this level of spectralism. I've been too validated. You know, everybody around me are trying to make me accept these manipulations, but sometimes it's just too obvious. You know, this technology can manipulate your brain in different ways. They can force you to get stimulations. I'm here on my balcony. I'm like on the 13th floor. I can see people in the street, but I'm not sure. You can barely see. It's like small little people walking. You can have an idea who they are, but not sure, right? You can see just little people walking around, right? Due to how far you are. I'm looking outside about right before I'm about to make this video big because I'm listening to this. I'm listening to something that shows an issue that's ongoing in these entities, right? And this is the issue. I don't. Hopefully, it's clear. My microphone has been kind of messed up, so I'm listening to this. And what they tend to do in this program, which is a program where they continuously improve the technology of manipulation of the brain, they try to disorient you and they try to counter reality. As I'm listening to this, as I'm listening to this obvious pattern that shows disgustingness,
has come under investigation for those who were working ranked 19th network. So this study that was done on this issue, and it is pretty horrifying, Manila, to consider this. It shows that the Department of Defense ranked 19th out of almost 3,000 networks in terms of peer-to-peer sharing of child pornography. That is absolutely incredible.
So this is basically calling out what the Department of Defense was ranked in 2018 in regard of sharing trafficking child porn. They were ranked 19th out of 2,900. Now you understand that shows there's a lot of pedophiles in these entities. 19 out of 2,900 is ridiculous. It's like top tier, and they've been ranked around that area for consistently. So this is not a random number that happened once a year, but they were like that for a while. Now, what that shows, that it shows that the entities that are running this program actually have problem with pedophilia. It's as clear as it gets. It's as obvious as it gets. So as I'm listening to that, usually in the street, people are trying to make them, like they make me experience some thoughts, and then people try to look at me, and I'm like, okay. First of all, reality is you work for entities that actually are pedophiles. You manipulate the brain in these ways because this is what the technology that they're developing is supposed to be doing. It's part of these ways of manipulating the brain. They've been working on this manipulations of the brain for years, decades, since the 60s, right? So to counter that, I'm looking outside and I see somebody who, at first I look like, I'm not sure if it's the gender of this person. For a second, I was like, that's a guy. And then I see the person had the person work. Mind you see a little bit of that person, and I'm like, oh my, it could actually be a female gender. I was like, oh, actually, and I'm starting getting stimulations, the force stimulations. I'm like, oh, that must be a child. I know that when it's a child usually, when I'm getting force stimulations. When I start getting stimulations, like, oh, what's that? Why am I feeling like that? It's because this program can manipulate his sexual arousals. And this is part of this program, the reason why they use test subjects. And I'm like, oh, that's because it's a child. And I'm trying to take the picture of this person. This person just cuts the corner and whoop, just leaves immediately. And it's the reason why they don't want to be taken picture of is because when you see who it is, I was like, you know that there's no way that you can make me have some reactions this way, right? And they know that. Everybody participating in this know that the brain can be manipulated. When you see who's talking, who they're forcing you to have stimulation, and it's intense stimulation. Not even a woman that will actually give you stimulation will never give you those kind of stimulation in this way, in this fashion. So this low nothing that you can barely see up could definitely not do this. So this is the things they have to do to counter reality. Now, the reason why you're seeing this title, our joke, is because these perps are truly having to diminish the intellect. As I said, it's obvious that I'm being manipulated. Even this reaction is so forced. How can anybody feel this weird? And the stimulation is so intense. It's just crazy. It's like somebody's just pressing like a sexual arousal button, and they'll try to create some perceptions and try to give this person curves. Like I can barely see this person. At one point, I thought it was a male person. When I was looking, I was like, what? And at first, I was like, this is like a guy. I was like, oh, that. They were giving me stimulations, right? They were doing these things to me, right? Which is what this technology can do. They were making me have these stimulations, which you're going to hear here. uh, they were making me have these arousals, which you hear here, what they can do, right?
A part of the body. This technology can be used to sexually manipulate the target. It can make the target feel sexual arousal or.
So this technology can literally make you feel sexual arousal. So I'm feeling the sexual arousals, but I'm like, that's a male. Like you're not going, like, what's the point of view? They've done it in the past, but it just doesn't phase me. So when things don't phase you, they change. They're just like, okay, whatever. And so I was like, that's a male. Why would you even phase? And I looked closer and closer. I was like, oh, that's not a male. That's actually a female. So it must be a child. And this is why. And it means like, oh, let me take a picture of that because I'm going to be like, here, I'm going to make a video about this. Look at it. They want me to subscribe to this person, this female person, I think it's a child, made the quickest corner ever. Whoop, turned that way. Whoop, gone. Timed it immediately. I was like, right about to take the pictures. Like, oh my gosh, whoop, missed it. I was like, I was going to show the manipulations. It's like, look at this little thing. Do you think this thing can ever do anything to me? But even the participant know the manipulations, but they know that the brain is what they can manipulate me to experience. So this is the life of these bottom feeders, and they try to give this thing curves and delusion. That's why taking pictures is to see the reality versus what they want your brain to capture things as is just another thing. But going back to what you just saw, in regard to my title, our jokes. As I said, people involved in this program truly live an alternate reality, right? And they have to stay in character. It's crazy because, life is limited. I don't care how young you are. I don't care how old you are. The time you waste is the time you waste. You don't get that shit back. You don't get that time back, excuse my language. And these people are literally living current life, alive, breathing, living a complete character and a role for that purpose to make you accept these manipulations. It's like gaslighting. But they are maintaining this manipulation, like they're maintaining this character. It's like actions, like acting all the time. For hours and like non-stop, day in and day out. Okay, action, I gotta act this way. Oh, we got proof 24/7. Now, I know they're manipulating. I know it's the character that they're supposed to create. It's been so humiliating. I'm so validated that I can see people just walking so fast when I'm bringing this. Like, these people are ranked 19th out of 2,900 for the amount of trafficking of child porn. You know how humiliating this is? It's beyond validating. Those are the people in your brain manipulating you while having a ranking of 19th top tier in regard to trafficking child porn. You know how it's so humiliating. But they have people like her. And unfortunately, I wish I had other people here to show. Actually, I do have other. I should show one of these guys here, like them. Those are the people who's supposed to be like, oh, we proved it. This thing character. They're supposed to look at their phones like, oh my gosh. You see, for example, that stimulation, this thing I just described. They would look at their phone like this. It's like, oh my gosh, we captured that. I'm on the 13th floor, looking all the way down, barely see. You can't even, even if let's just say it's like actually a woman who would truly get some sexual, some reactions to of me out of me. This far you cannot even get it. I would not even. Let's just say it was Jennifer Lopez, one of the most beautiful women ever, that I would have sexual reaction toward. That far, I would not have that feeling. I would not even have this reaction. So you tell me this little thing, this nasty, this little nothing, is the one that's going to create that. So they have to stay in character for you to identify with this perception. So they will immediately start looking at their phone and it's like, oh my gosh, we have proof. Oh, I just saw that. And they have no self-respect. So me, I'm looking at them, it's like, you delusional retards. Excuse for my language. They're not on the spectrum. They're not mentally handicapped. And I'm sorry for using that word, but when people are purposely acting this childlike and this mentally retrograde, like behind, I have to call them retards. Because reality, they need to see themselves for truly what they do. You know, I was watching this show about people who are actually on the spectrum. Unfortunately, you know, it's very endearing and they're very like brave people and try to date while being on the spectrum. It's tough. But you see them struggling and living life the best they can with the handicap they have. And I'm like thinking about these people that purposely have normal, they don't have any, they're not really on the spectrum, or at least not to that level. And you see them really living life like these people I'm watching, putting themselves in the mental stand of that level and try to make it sound like not, it's like you are, this is the level of spectralism you have to make yourself be. This is how these people have to act. For example, you hear this, right? Listen to this testimonial, right? This is how validating life is for me. You hear this.
V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual, as well as just.
So you hear this woman saying that voice to skull, which is something I say I'm dealing with. They are using this voice to skull to not only interact with me, but manipulate my thoughts, my perception. For example, this little nothing, all of a sudden they were trying to create some curves or something. I was like, that far, first of all, you cannot make me have any perception of you that is sexual. She has, this is winter, right? It's cold outside. They have layers, coats. But trying to create something, it's like you, the little you, can do something to me. That on top of that being like this far, a block away from me on the 13th floor, you that far in the delusional trash. But they have to make you believe that that's something that you should identify with. But I have validation like that. I have validation that they manipulate the perception. I have validation that they do the sexual arousals, and they somehow make me want to be like, oh my gosh, she exposed you. Oh my god, look, see, and you have people like that. That's supposed to make you believe like, oh my gosh, look, I looked at my phone. Then you're not being manipulated, right? And the thought manipulations are so disturbing. I was listening to somebody who was talking about his favorite number being number 5. Immediately, they're like, oh, number 5. Now, I know that these people are involved in a program, and the program consists of using test subjects of all ages. We're talking about the oldest to the youngest to the babies. Why? It's because the purpose of this program is not to just destroy people and make people feel painful. This amount of effort for somebody who's a nobody, for somebody who just like not a threat, for is it will never be ever done unless there's a real purpose behind it. I'm not a threat. This for them to dumb themselves down to that level, to get to that level of spectrum, they won't do it for anybody for no purpose. There's a purpose behind that. The purpose is because they're using this technology onto us, and this technology gets better with more and more test samples. It's like database. More database can improve this technology. Now, that's why they do these things to me. That's why they do that to women. And that's why they do that to children. To get this technology to get even better. So it means that they need all kind of human beings, from the oldest, the youngest, the in between, male, female, black, white, all the races, Asian, European, all every human on this earth, a sample of everybody is needed in all ages to continuously improve. We're almost, I mean, we're all the same, but maybe every culture, age, and we makes us a little bit different, right? So the more the sample, the better it gets. So that means that children are tortured for the purpose of this technology. And the disgusting part is sometimes they torture not because they are the main target, it's because the target is around those children and is perhaps a teacher, is a parent to these children. And so by torturing these children, the reaction they get out of this target individual is something they want. And so they have been torturing and they are currently torturing children because they are kids of the target individual or they even target the individual themselves. And I have testimonies of them torturing children as 5 years old, sexually torturing. And the children they tortured in this case were mentally handicapped children. Maybe not handicapped, but they had difficulties. They had Down syndrome. And one of them had autism, right? Talking about spectralism. The 4-year-old, there's a 4-year-old, there's a 5-year-old, both of them sisters with Down syndrome. They start torturing these kids using this defense technology. The torture consists of sexual torture, right? This is some nasty things. This is reality. This is what these people are involved in. They know this. They hear this testimony all the time. Actually, listen to this.
Torture methods are cyclical in severity. Right after I saw for about 2 months straight, and that's also when they made it worse when I ate.
So now she's going to talk about the 4 and 5-year-old kids with Down syndrome. Listen to this.
Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions for each of them during their separate sessions.
So you hear that she says that she saw these 2 girls grabbing their genitals in pain, right? Now, that's the reality. What they're trying to do, they were trying to make me think, oh, 5-year-old. Then they tried to make me think, remember what you did when you were a kid in middle school? Because I did something to myself that they tried to exaggerate, right? I'm like, you delusional if you ever think that I'm going to let you think that I'm going to think about me as a middle schooler, as a kid, stupid kid doing something stupid to myself while you're in a program that does these things to kids. Let's listen to this. Listen to this nastiness that you're part of. This is the program you're part of. We're not talking about a kid doing something stupid to himself. We're talking about you guys involved in a program where they literally sexually torture children. 4-year-old and 5-year-old. I'm listening to that. As I'm listening to that, they're making me imagine something sexual with a 5-year-old. A 5-year-old. Make me imagine something with genitals and 5-year-old. It's so disgusting. Now, that's when you know these people are disgusting. They start making me think. You hear that? They try to interrupt that. Watch how quickly it is. They're gonna start running away. I should listen to this. This person is about to run away in 2 seconds. And that's because he knows the reality of it.
He has come under investigation for links to the proliferation of graphic material called Project Flickr. Some 5,000 individuals have been identified as having subscriptions to child porn sites. including many DoD-affiliated persons. So this ongoing national investigation has now prompted the House to introduce a bipartisan bill that would help the DoD stop the use of networks to quote, possess, procure, or produce child pornography. Joining us to discuss this, investigative journalist Ben Swan. So Ben, the Pentagon already takes measures to limit worker access to stuff like porn by rolling out what they call the personal electronic device PED policy, where workers have to drop off their phones and lockers before entering their offices. All their online searches are accessible by security if or when needed. Their Wi-Fi access is monitored in digital security suites. So how is this happening?
Well, it's happening because even though there is a certain amount of limitation on access, those who are working in the Department of Defense, clearly it appears to be thousands of individuals in the Department of Defense, are finding ways around this, specifically by using the Department of Defense IP addresses and also apparently peer-to-peer sharing within the department's network. So this study that was done on this issue, and it is pretty horrifying, Manila, to consider.
Listen to this.
It shows that the Department of Defense ranked 19th out of almost 3,000 networks in terms of peer-to-peer sharing. Thanks, man. We're not doing enough to stop them coming in, but we're also not doing enough in the Department of Defense to go after those individuals who were being recognized as the ones who were perpetrating this.
So, Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger is the co-author to this bill. She said this, quote, "The notion that the Department of Defense's network and Pentagon-issued computers may be used to view, create, or circulate such horrifying images is a shameful disgrace and one we must fight head-on." Now, the fact that the Pentagon workers, be they civil or military...
So you hear this? This man, I stayed outside so he can hear all of it. The reality is the entities that are running this program are very pedophilia-centric, so much so that I ranked 19th. But going back, the reason why he was knocking on the door at this time is because they were trying to make me feel guilty for the stupid thing I did when I'm a child. While they're in a program that tortured children as young as 5 years old, sexually torturing them. Sexually torturing 5-year-old kids. This man that was making those campaigns was trying to interrupt that and make me believe, now think about you as a kid. I'm not a kid, and I know what you guys do to kids. These people harm children in ways that are so disgusting. Listen to this. And the sad part is, I will never let them live their fantasy. Because what they do to babies and children is so disturbing.
Then I also work with a 4-year-old little girl with Down syndrome, as well as her 5-year-old sister, who also has Down syndrome. I observed both of these girls suddenly grabbing their genitals in pain and verbalizing, "ow." I observed this at least on 1 or 2 occasions.
So you hear that? Sexually torturing 5-year-old and 4-year-old. And so immediately they start making me imagine some sexual thoughts with 5-year-old. And to make me believe that these thoughts are not the manipulation of thoughts that you heard here, that they can do this, which is the nasty manipulations that they can force you to have. Listen to this. This.
Torture. They coordinate the voices and thought manipulation with the physical torture, so that everything is highly synchronized in real time. They can see everything in my environment before I can, and if something is hidden out of my sight, they can tell me where it is, if they want me to see it. Likewise, they can also make me not see something that is right in front of my face.
Listen to this specifically. Talking about voice to skull.
Torture. They coordinate the voices and thought manipulation with the physical V2K, or voice to skull. This involves the projection of voices, noises, and music directly into my mind to communicate with me in real time and at the speed of thought. And it also includes the manipulation of thoughts, emotions, and perceptions in the person's mind. Additionally, the targeting is all highly perverted and sexual.
You hear that? The manipulation of thoughts, and it's very perverted. So immediately they start making me imagine thoughts of a 5-year-old and some nasty sexual thoughts with a 5-year-old. So disgusting. And like, no, those thoughts are not us manipulating you to have these thoughts. It's you because when you were 20 years old, you made a joke to make fun of your friend. So when I bring that up all the time, right? When I was in high school, I was in the cafeteria. I remember I was sitting there in the cafeteria. I'm 17 years old in high school. This guy comes like, hey man, this guy was like, he was talking randomly, like, yo, this guy was crazy. You know what he said? He said some joke like that. It's very inappropriate joke. I started laughing at it because of the absurd, how absurd it was. Now I'm somebody who laugh at like very dark humor. Right? I'm laughing about it, it's like this is crazy. I laugh about it, of course. And so I'm like, this is just is inappropriate, it's dark, but it's funny because of how absurd it is. I'm like, okay, I'll use this to make fun of somebody. This is something I stole from somebody, right? And I'm like, this is something I can use one day to make fun of somebody. Now, I am somebody who see dark humor for what it is. It's dark humor. It's not supposed to be something that is believed to be true. It's supposed to just be like a shock comedy, right? And that was the kind of shock comedy. I was like, I know one day I can use that to make fun. It's like, this is kind of, it's witty, but at the same time, it's very inappropriate. It's dark and shock comedy, but I can use that to kind of, make fun of somebody or find the time for this joke. Like, and I remember that because it was just one of the craziest things I've heard. And it was absurd and it was shocking. Listen, I'm not a PC guy, especially at the time. So okay, I'm gonna say that one day. And I remember the day when I said that because I had a friend. Me and my friends used to be back and forth. We used to insult each other in various ways. We're friends that like have no problem insulting each other. Like we like he was basically a brother, but it's the kind of brother that who can call each other whatever. This man once called me like, "Oh, you're so skinny, you look like you have AIDS." Right? This is the kind of back and forth. And I was like, okay, something happened, and I was like, I remember that this is the time for me to say this joke. It's an appropriate joke. I'm like something old enough to, because I don't know who he was talking to. I was like, hey, old enough to me, and like, oh, you see, you made that joke. So those thoughts are yours. And they're like, no, we're gonna make our joke because they talk about how they're gonna frame me and implant child porn. These people that you just heard having top tier issues in regard to child porn. Now that's why I'm so thankful I don't have to live like them. First of all, they manipulate people's thoughts. It's been proven that you heard the testimonial. But to hear that this thing has been ongoing for years, and they need people like them, right? Like people who are supposed to stay in character. Right? These people are supposed to stay in character. They're like, oh, I joke, huh? Oh. We mapped it. You remember the joke? That's the kind of people who are supposed to act like these characters for you to accept these manipulations. But the entities that run this program have been trying to find ways and working on ways to manipulate the brain. This is in the 60s. The DARPA has been working on it.
In 1965, DARPA launched Project Pandora, which studied the possibility of using microwave radiation to control human behavior. The project reportedly ended in 1969, but DARPA's investigation of how machines can affect and possibly control the brain.
And so I know that this is part of the manipulation they can make you have. They can make you have disgusting thoughts. And the thoughts are very pedophilia-centric, huh? It's been consistently like that. Listen, this transgender woman.
It's dramatic. It's somebody trying to end my life. It's somebody trying to end who I am as a person. It's somebody trying to take over my mind. But he thought of it. Like, this disgusting thing. You saw where I was going with that first word. Disgusting thing that I didn't.
So this transgender woman say like somebody's trying to change me, implanting thoughts of pedophilia. And she says people around her are doing these things. And so they've been trying to counter that. I was like, no, but remember what you did as a kid. Like, no, you are forcing me to have these disgusting thoughts. And you want me to subscribe and identify with these nasty manipulations. this manipulation of thoughts, libido, you heard the sexual stimulations, all of that is things they've done to others. It's disgusting. I can literally bring up a testimony of a woman. Just for example, when I was looking outside, and this person who I thought for a second was a male, they stimulated me, and I was like, "This is a male. Why would they stimulate me?" It's like I look closer. It's like, "Oh, maybe." Oh, I'm looking closer. It's like, "Oh, he looked like a female." At least I give 60% leaning toward female. Still not 100% though. 65 or so. That she's like, it's a she, and most likely a child. But I'm like on the 13th floor. She's a block away. So you get, and the stimulations, and you hear that this shit, this things of stimulating people toward children is something they've been doing for years. It's part of how they break you down. You hear testimonies of that nature, of this nature, that just confirms what you already knew, because you know yourself, like there's nobody, even a woman with the best looking woman with all the curves, will not make me have stimulation like this, especially that far. So but this little kid, whatever, this kid, female or male, whatever it is the one that's gonna do that. I was like, I wish I could have taken a picture of this person. I wish. But by the time I took a picture, she turned the corner. But listen to this. Miss trying to stimulate me.
To see every night, then I thought how that could happen, but then I told them. I decided to aggravate. The slaves began a program of perversion. First was with my dog. I am very playful with my pet, and suddenly one day that I was petting him, I felt strange, in the sense of the word. I thought, this is strange, and then afterwards that strange sensation continued. Then in that moment I realized that was impost, so I thought, look at this losers, don't know how to put me down, and they are doing this. So I told them that I know what you are trying to do, and I started laughing, and then I said again out loud, you'll never take my will, ASS, so just to show them that I meant what I said, I kept playing with my dog, and even though that attacks continue, I don't let them get me. Today they continue with the programming of perversion, but this time they are aiming in the use of people, better said young people, also children and homosexuals. When I aggravated them, I usually call.
You heard that. They do this program perversion and aim it toward young people, children, and homosexual. Now, in every ways, I've been validated. Everything they do to me is not unique to me. So when I go pick up my boxes, this was on Amazon, I make sure that okay, I put the loudspeakers, showing the reality of who's the pedophiles, who's manipulating my brain, and making sure I look at him. It's like top tier child pornography. Consistently ranked. Do you think these people are not the people? Okay, I know who's the pedophiles. I know who's manipulating my thoughts. I know who's forcing me to get stimulation to this little nothing, a block away from the 13th floor. And when I try to take the picture of this nothing, she knows when to get away, because she's now it's gonna look like what it looks like. Like, look at you. You could never do anything to me. Never, in no ways. In my head, they try to create because when I was about to take a picture, I was zooming in. I could see slowly that it was like look more and more like a girl, and I was like, oh, I'm about to take a picture. I was so excited. As soon as she turns, the second I was like, oh, she's gonna see herself. Like, look at you, dumbass. Do you think you can make me feel anything? And they try to create curves in my head to try to make me accept these manipulations. It's so nasty. So at the end of the day, I'll never identify with these manipulations. And the jokes now they're saying is they're trying to make me accept these things. These people. These people are the ones supposed to make me believe that these little nobodies from a block away will give me stimulations. These little nothings. Today I'll take pictures of this dumbass and embarrass them. I embarrass them like there's no tomorrow. Look at these little things. So you think this little, and when I mean little things, I mean they're just nothings. It's just you can't. They know that too. That's when you know that everybody around you knows the reality. They know how things are done. Let's go. Let him see me for a second, and I gotta be quick. They're gonna work his brain. They're gonna manipulate his brain in certain ways, and then go, get out. Disgusting trash. And in my head, when I was about to take a picture, now in my head they tried to create like hips and butts that she to make her womanly. This little nothing. And listen, I can tell just because they forced me to get stimulation that it must be a child. And she's like a little small thing from at least from what I could see. Like this for them to be so intense in the manipulation of my libido that it has to be a child. Nasty low life. So the jokes is they will be funny and implant child pornography in my in my computer, my devices. The people who are you just heard having issue with child pornography, circulating, trafficking in this Department of Defense are gonna be funny, haha. These top tier traffickers of child porn, and you know with the child porn, there's a lot of pedophiles, meaning that they are actually they're pedophiles, meaning that these people most likely doing something to children. I don't know if it's all of them, but I'm sure that a good chunk of them are doing things to children. So these jokes, these funny people working for entities that have been doing this pedophilia type of torture, that have been ranked by Child Protective Services as the top tier trafficker of child pornography, are going to be funny by playing child porn. And like, oh, haha, it's funny. You made this funny joke. Like, and they just try to just annoy me, agitate me, because they know that I see them as the pedophiles. For me, while I'm alive, when I'm able, as they're framing me in whatever ways that's pedophilia centric, as you know, these people are very pedophilia centric. They are ranked in the high level of pedophilia centric. Will do something pedophilia centric to frame me. And a disgusting low life. I wish I could capture the people in the hallways. They then were being brave. But when I was in the hallway, nobody else but this person that was delivering this thing was in the hallway. So I look forward to seeing them in whatever ways. They say, oh, we're going to see each other in court because we're going to frame you. Well, I know the court system is run by these governmental entities. I know these bottom feeders, these nothings are just the bottom feeders for these governmental entities. But to see these bottom feeders in whatever circumstances, I'm thankful to be able to see them. And thank God I'm not one of these bottom feeders. I have to humiliate myself. It's funny. While I'm working in a program that literally do things to children, that is manipulating the brain of people in these pedophilia ways, and I'm working for entities that have been trafficking child porn so much that the Child Protective Services is ranking them as a top tier network in regard of the internet network with some of the most child porn circulating, trafficking in the network. Do you understand? Well, they try, oh, you're funny, huh? You made that joke to make fun of your best friend, huh? Trash us. And when they talk about me as a child, oh, you abused, when they try to exaggerate what I did as a kid in middle school, and you heard what they do to the 4-year-old, you heard what they do to the 5-year-old, you should hear what they do to the 7-year-old, or the 3-year-old, or the 3-week-old. And I'm supposed to be like, oh, no, you abuse. Well, I'm in a program that's literally torturing children. And I'm talking about somebody's dumbass act as a middle school, as a child, that I have to exaggerate while I'm in a program that literally is torturing children. And the entities that are contracting me, the reason why I'm a bottom feeder, is because these entities have contracted me. And those entities that contract me are so pedophilia centric that Child Protective Services are literally calling them as like they are so, they're trafficking in so much child porn within this network, using Department of Defense technology, the Department of Defense computers, Pentagon provided computers, that we are ranking them consistently as top tier trafficker of child porn. This is why I'm thankful. God, thank you.